Just gotta wait, gonna celebrate. Woo! When it's my time, gonna elevate. Go, 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 go.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to Mr. Mahala's channel. I want to thank you guys for showing up and seeing what I have to say, my opinions. Today I got a really hot topic and a hot take, as it will. Gonna talk about Dragon Age Veilguard. Yeah, everyone loves to hate this game. Me included at first. So first on first, let's get this off rip. Let's get this the controversy out of the way, okay? The cartoony effects and the whole trans like options as you create your character, essentially. Because those are the two big ones that we want to, take a footnote in and give our opinions on. I don't agree with pushing agendas in entertainment. I think it ruins the content. I think you take away from the art form. I think people want to experience entertainment to get away from some of the crazy stuff that's going on in today's world, and not to be like have it shoved in your face. Is essentially right. It kind of throws you off when you see a fantasy, but whether it be a show, a game, a movie, and then you have real world issues, agendas thrown into that content. I agree, it is terrible. It needs to be stopped. It needs to be illegal, damn near. You know what I mean? Now, the cartoony, I don't mind it. I mean, it's an art style. Everybody wants hyper realistic these days, which is, in my opinion, well overblown. Like, it's okay that it's not hyper realistic. It's okay that it's not cyberpunk look. You know what I mean? It's okay. It doesn't take away from the game, right? Like, it doesn't need to be hyper realistic. That's my now, my biggest hot take, right? Because everybody agrees. I mostly agree with everyone there on that point, on those points. My biggest hot take, for sure, is definitely moves a little closer. I don't know if I'm loud enough. It's definitely that doesn't make the game shit. Okay? And I want everyone to understand this. Everyone is so hyper focused on jumping on the bandwagon of popular opinions to then get their views up and get their stuff noticed, essentially, especially on YouTube. That is an ongoing issue. My thing is, like, have your own opinion. Just because you don't like a couple of things about a game doesn't mean the whole entire game is bad. And that's my problem with it taking away from the rest of the art form. You have these one or two major issues that gets drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled on social media, on YouTube, on whatever, and they vilify the entire studio. All the developers, all 200, 300 developers that have been working 8 years, working their butt off to make this game as good as possible, and the one or two people that injected politics or hot topics into something that's fantasy, and then you have the people who let them do that in the first place, ruin the entire experience, ruin jobs. I mean, people are losing their jobs over stuff like this. I don't think that's cool at all, right? Right, like, and this is not any hate to Asmongold, but let's say someone throws hate at Asmongold and then YouTube just cancels his account just because whatever someone else said. Doesn't make it true. Doesn't mean he's a terrible person. It just means you don't like his opinion. Doesn't mean he should be canceled or lose his job for it. Doesn't mean he should lose his sponsors. You know what I mean? So take that approach with game developers. Now, coming from a game developer background myself, I've been in the game industry for over 14 years. And, I do see both sides of it because I do want to be a content creator. I am a gamer, right? And I am on the development side. So I do see both sides. I just do not like people vilifying the entire game studio for a couple of bad decisions that the people at the top make. Developers don't make that decision. It's producers. It's the person above producers. Those are the people that make those decisions. Game development is not some willy-nilly thing where like, oh, Sharon over there decided to put trans stuff in the game and no one can stop her. It's not how it works. There's an approval process. There's overviews. There's meetings. There's design meetings, right? And a lot of the times, really, if you think about it, it's probably developers walking on eggshells around a person with that much of a strong opinion about something that they don't speak up. And then you have the people in charge who are afraid to say no because they don't want to get blasted on social media either, right? I'm kind of get off topic here, but the point is, it doesn't make the whole game bad. Now, because I'm a game developer, because I see both of those sides, I did get EA Pass Pro, whatever the fuck it's called, whatever subscription you need to play the game. I bought it for 1 month, and I said, you know what? Give the benefit of the doubt to the game. I'll pay for EA Pro for 1 month. I'll play it, and I'll give my own opinion, right? Because the fact of the matter is, most people don't give a full opinion. They don't. They just harp on the same bad things that's popular to harp on. And unfortunately, that is social media. That is how it is today. And it sucks. And, you know, we like, as content creators, most people like to, you know, brag that we're real journalists and we get to the real things. When in actuality, most people don't. They stop at the controversy and they don't go further. 99.9% of people stop at the controversy and don't go further. Now, Asmongold did play the game, right? He's one of the very few that can give an opinion and still play the game and give his total opinion. Now, although I don't agree with his overall score of the game, I do understand it, and I do agree with his hard points of not putting political, personal crap in a game. It is not the platform for you to voice your opinions. Right? And if you're gonna do that stuff, don't throw it in gamers' faces. We are nerds. We are gamers. Or we're just trying to chill out and enjoy a nice fantasy story and forget about work or forget about our shit life or our shit relationships, whatever. We're not there to get stuff thrown in our face. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the right way to do it. Use your social media account. Do not use a multi-million-dollar, probably hundreds of millions of dollars that went into developing a game for you to ruin it because you're putting your personal feelings into a game. It's not the place to do it, and I'm talking to you, producers and people in charge, you need to do better. You need to do better. You guys are, you know, the epitome of insanity. You see other studios get flamed for it, but yet you still allow it. Right? And now, because of that, companies are not willing to hire as much because they are afraid that they're going to get a person with those personal views and everyone has to deal with that crap. It's a HR nightmare. Because be it that you may, like, most of those people are very opinionated, and that's fine, except for the fact that they don't allow other opinions to be in the same room, if that makes sense. Their opinion is the only one that matters. Their views is the only one that matters. You know, like, there's no reason to put boob scars in Dragon Age Veilguard. There's no reason. These are different races. They have different issues. No one in that universe is worried about boob scars and gender changes. Okay? Which brings me to my second thing. The whole trans conversation that came out with one of the characters, which, by the way, is I forget the race name, but they're basically descendants of dragons, right? They have horns and everything. She can breathe fire. Sorry, spoilers. The whole thing about that makes no sense at all. Not one lick of sense does that make. Okay? You have a character in a fantasy world who is dealing with mother issues, which, by the way, is fine with her background story. Dealing with her mom issues is fine, perfectly fine. No matter what fantasy world you're from, you got mom and dad issues are possibly there. You know, fine, perfectly reasonable. But out of left field, you go with, hey, I don't think I'm a woman. Hey, call me they, them. It is not something they worry about in that universe. It doesn't even make sense. Right? If you have a game that has dealing with today's issues, what's that game called? A Life Before, or, you know, that whole series of, you know, visually stunning movie style stories where there's no action or anything. You're kind of just playing out, you know, this story in modern times, dealing with whatever issues, whether it be gay, trans, you know, being bullied, whatever. Life is Strange, right? Those style of games, it makes sense. Not in a fantasy world with magic dragons and fire and weapons and explosions and like the world in the visual world. I mean, sorry, in the visual world, but the game world has a lot of other issues, and it's not an issue in that game world. I'm sorry, it's not. People like to boast about, oh, I put this in here and it should be for rights, and that has no place in the gaming world unless it's in a game called like Life is Strange, where it's focused on those issues in real time. This is a fantasy game, okay? So that's where we all agree on. I think it's stupid to put that stuff in a game, and I don't fault all the developers. I fault that one or two developers, and I fault the producers and the leadership of that development team because they allowed it, they approved it. They can say no. In fact, they say no all the damn time. I've been through so many game titles where you're sitting there and you're looking at stuff and you're like, okay, what's the next step in our game development? Okay, it's this character, this world, and it gets rejected, and we have to go from ground zero, start over again. That includes testing. That includes everything, right? Prototyping, level design, everything has to start over. Months and months and months and months of work gone just for you to start over because they didn't like the direction it was going. But then you let stuff like that get through. It's crap, utter crap. Do better. Do better, leadership. And what you really should be doing is vilifying leadership and not the entire development team, not the entire studio, because it's not the entire studio. And I think that's woefully unfair. That goes for not Asmongold, because when I watch Asmongold's content, he does specify the person when in fact he does find out who it is, right? But before you know who it is, you can only say the studio name, right? Very fair. But I don't like other content creators that are smaller, most of them feeding off of Asmongold's videos, to kind of boost their numbers, is they just go negative, because negativity brings eyeballs. I'm sorry, it sucks. That's the world we live in. Everything that's negative brings eyeballs, and because this video is positive, it won't bring as much. It's just the way it goes. You know, I'm giving a hot take on mine. Now, to the game itself. Besides the stuff we talked about, the he, them, she, they conversation with a descendant of a dragon, which makes no damn sense. Which, by the way, in this world, in this universe, no one gives a crap if you're dating a girl or boy. It is not an issue. So, you know, going the extra mile to be called something else just because you like the opposite sex is pretty redundant in this world. It's dumb. Not getting into politics, because that's not what this video is about, okay? The game itself, I'm talking gameplay, skill trees, dialogue, I'm talking character creation, I'm talking your interaction as a character, I'm talking decision making, I'm talking side quests, main quests, everything. It is at least an 8 out of 10. It is a very good game. It is a very well done game. And I don't care what anyone else says, they're lying. Out of all the games I've played this year, and I've played almost all of them, all the big releases, Wukong, Black Ops 6, I played all of them, Warhammer, you know, I played all of them. Dragon Age has one of the better stories, if not the best, that's released this far. Black Wukong is great, but you get detached from the story in that game so much so because it's not really tied to a story, it's more so tied to the combat. That makes sense. Whereas Dragon Age Veilguard, I haven't played a game in a long time. It is classically BioWare, okay? Classic decision making. Your classes, there's only 3 classes to choose from, but 3 subclasses in each class. And you're not locked to the abilities of that one class, if that makes sense. For example, I played an assassin. Never play assassin, so I said, screw it. I'm gonna play assassin this time. Never played assassin, right? I found myself going towards the trickster, right? Using bombs, using like flash grenades, stun grenades, and turrets, you know, being an assassin that uses gadgets, right? Because I feel like the game is actually pretty difficult, right? Even on normal settings, you can die so fast. You have to rely on your skill tree. You have to rely on your party. You have to rely on your skill of blocking and dodging, okay? Especially dodging in my case. But just because I'm using the tool and I geared my skill tree towards the tool section didn't mean I couldn't then buy some skills that are geared towards other playstyles within the assassin. It's awesome. It's actually amazing. So for example, I had the turret as one of my abilities. But then I could then go over here and use the electric attack where the bow attack, where I can shoot a bunch of acid arrows, like a rain of acid arrows in an area and do damage over time. Outstanding for tons of enemies. Okay? I could equip both because I'm not tied to that one playstyle. It's awesome. Great skill tree. I love the way they did it. You can respec at any time. It's great. You can constantly try out stuff, make new builds. It's amazing. One of the best I've seen this year, if not in a long time. Now we're talking about the environment. The cities are awesome. They're so complex. You know, it's not just a flat plane with these cities and areas you go to. It's levels and levels and levels. There's 2 levels below. There's a level above. There's a secret area over here. There's a secret chest over there. It's insanely great. Environmental, amazing. Even there's an environment, kind of spoilers, I'm sorry. There's an environment in this spiritual world that you have to find all these secrets to. It is awesome. Outstanding. 10 out of 10 for environment. The only thing that I found lacking in the game is the lootable weapons and armor. And not the looks, but the way they work. Like for example, you have like these exotic style weapons that are red that have unique abilities, but most of them, I would say like 85% of them, the negative you receive for the positive that you get it's too offsetting. The negative is too terrible. Like for example, there's a sword that every time you land an attack, it gives you health back. But the negative is that you can't get healed by potions, you can't get healed by your companions. So then if you're fighting a boss or you're fighting hard enemies, you die instantly because you can't get healed. You can't. One hit, your health is 70% down because it's a boss or a hard enemy, and you striking only gives you a little amount back. The negative is too great. Those need to be changed, number one. And number two, I do think the armor style and the weapon style, like the way they look, is lacking that's a whole point off for me, because instead of they giving you unique pieces of armor and weapons, which they do, right? A lot of them are just reshades, which is a terrible decision. So for example, and they mask it as, oh, this is made out of a different material. It's just a recolor, right? So you have a sword, it's made out of armalite or whatever the metal is called there. The high class metal that, the wardens use and stuff, right? Shiny, sharp, strong, whatever. Then you find a sword that's similar, but it's gold now. But it's the same look. It's just gold. It's terrible. With everything today, you could have created so many cool looking swords, and they already have a system where you can, like, for example, I have this cool sword. I hate the way it looks. I can change it to look like any sword I've achieved or I've picked up and looted. Great. You don't have to worry about that system coming in later in the game. It's already in the game from day one, from minute one. Great. The problem is 80% of the swords that you're reskinning, right, are just recolors. So you'll have a silver one. You'll have a one that's like rusted green almost. You'll have one that's gold. You'll have one that's, like a bronze. And it's just like, yeah, you have 100 swords in the game, but 80% of them are just recolors. And then you have the exotic ones that look unique, but there isn't enough of them. There's 4 or 5. So at least with my character, I'm sure there's, so disclaimer, the exotic weapons and armor, or just the exotic weapons, I think the armor is the same. The exotic weapons are different depending on your class. So I played an assassin, so I found daggers and main swords for my exotic weapons. But if you play a paladin style, you'll find shields and long swords. Does that make sense? So it is quite different, which I think is great. But what they need to do is stop reskinning stuff and add more unique weapons. But the point I'm making here, okay? The story is great. The game is great. Your character is very interactive with the companions and the story. Very. It is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Usually you get this whole like, oh, I've created a character, but they're a mute. I never understood creating a character, going through the full process of making the character how you want them to. And they don't say a damn thing. Got the whole game. Everything is text. What world do we live in? Stop being lazy. Get 2 voice actors, 1 female, 1 male, and have them read the fucking lines. That's it. That's what they did in this game. That's what they did in Cyberpunk. It's very simple. You hire 2 voice actors. You give a pitch, a pitch adjuster for when you're creating your character, and that's it. You make your character come to life, and they did that perfectly in this game. Your character is interactive, has actual emotions on their face, right? The way she talks or the way he talks, whichever character. I've tried both, by the way, and you can actively change that throughout your playthrough at any time. There's a mirror where you can change the way you look. The only thing you can't change is your race and your details for your character. For example, the background, because those tie into story elements and those tie into conversations. Once you start your playthrough, that's it. Okay. Besides the fact, the point is your character is involved. You don't get to say that often in games nowadays. Your character is involved. The emotion, the people you choose to romance, the people who you anger. When you do their side quests, you feel like these characters are getting closer based off conversations. These are things that are awesome. Okay? 8 out of 10. The combat, outstanding. It's very difficult. The amount of different enemies and the way they test you in open combat is rough. If you're not playing on easy like some chump, even if you're playing on normal, you are not a tank. Be it you, I played a thief. My health was a little lower, but it was difficult. There are bosses that I spent a couple hours on trying to beat. It's just, it was great. The story was awesome. I played it from 0 to beginning. I 100%ed it. I did all the side quests. I finished all the puzzles. I got all the loot. It was great. It sucks that a game that awesome gets diminished by a couple of things that were bad decisions. It does suck. And I wish more people would give it a chance. I'm here to tell you, go get EA Pass Pro for a month, play it, get your own opinion on the game, because I'll tell you right now, it is not a shitty game. It's a great game. It's great. 8 out of 10 for me. The couple things I found lacking, I've told you guys already. It's the weapon design, the way they look, and the skin system for the weapons. They have a lot of reskin color change, same style looking weapon, which I think is lazy. That's lazy. Same thing with the armor. A lot of armor that look cool, and they just 4 more of them, and they're all reskin colors. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's lazy. And I will say the whole trans conversation, or the sex change conversation, which is ridiculous, doesn't make any sense. And then the boob scar thing when you're creating your character. All those unreasonable, stupid, shouldn't have been put in the game. If it wasn't for that, the game would probably be in the running for Game of the Year, in my opinion. Because on the Game of the Year, the only one that was worthy was Black Myth Wukong. All the other games can kiss my ass. Sorry, they weren't Game of the Year worthy. You know, shit. Helldivers is Game of the Year. If you ask me, it should be Wukong, Helldivers, Veilguard, and a couple others, but not the ones they had chosen. It was stupid. Stupid decision. Of course, Wukong's gonna win. There's no other good options. You know. But anyway, that's it for my video today. Thank you guys for stopping by. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. I'm really trying to grow the channel here, trying to get to 5,000 followers and more views. It'd be great if you guys can help me out. As always, thank you for joining Mr. Malhala's world. And keep your mind open. You know what I mean? Keep your mind open. Don't be a sheep. Peace.